It always comes down to the quality of the team and the quality of work that they've done in terms of execution. I think the short answer is that there's no one size fits all and one right answer for every early stage entrepreneur. But if I were to unpack that answer just a little bit, I think it comes down to the team, the profile of the team, their track record, and sort of where they are in the entrepreneurial journey. You're seeing a lot of new companies getting created in India by second-time founders, by folks who have seen a growth journey as part of fast-growing internet businesses in India. Some people choose to take capital right at the get-go, at an idea stage or just idea and early product stage. And some people choose to sort of dilute down the cap table much later in the journey once they've been able to demonstrate some kind of product market fit or some kind of traction or trajectory in the business. So once again, I think no right answer, and both of these approaches seem to work just as well. It's more about what's a good fit for you as a founder. And I think, again, the answer depends on the stage of funding. So, at Jungle, we did recently, I'll give you an example. I think we announced this in the press as well. We funded a company called Eve World, which is a women-centric community and commerce platform that was started by the ex-founding team of Z5, which is the OTT platform. This was a sort of pre-seed deal for us. And here, for Jungle, we wanted to see the caliber of the team, the business plan, the thought process that they brought to it. But there was actually no product in place. The product started being created after we cut the first check and the team started building it. And the thesis for us was that because this was such an experienced team, they had been there, done that in a corporate setup, that they'd be able to hit the ground running. So, the thesis there was the team, and of course the market and the opportunity that they were going after. If you take a more Series A example, there we look for stronger signs of product market fit. By that, we're talking about a certain number of users who have sort of fallen for the proposition, a certain amount of engagement, and early signs of monetization, if not a proven business model to actually make revenue in the company. That's your sort of Series A stage. And then when you look at your BC rounds, then you're really looking at how much market share has the company been able to gain, how much more can they monetize the existing user base, how many more users are there in the industry that they can go after, what does the competitive landscape look like for those companies, and is there conviction around this team and this product really being able to continue to accelerate that trajectory. The advice that I would generally give, and this, I think the advice goes across all stages, but particularly at, I would say, seed and Series A. I think at those stages, I would encourage founders to focus on getting the right quality of partners on board in the form of investors. I think from a valuation perspective, you want to look at your business and see how much capital you're going to need over the life cycle of the company, make some assumptions around how much you'll dilute for that capital, and make sure that there's enough equity on the table for the founders, employees, etc. What you're starting to see is that in early stages, when there is not too much data to work with in terms of evaluating some of these businesses, valuation is driven more by ownership interest in terms of who the investors are coming in and what part of the business or how much of the business they would like to own. But I think the most important advice I would really give is to choose the right partners. Cutting the check, bringing an investor into your company is the beginning of the journey, not the end. It's a long journey. It's 5, 7, 10 years. Sometimes it can be longer. So I think the chemistry, the camaraderie, as well as the support that the investor can bring to your business, I think will move the needle more than just that one valuation or dilution metric. My first response to that will be that, depending on the business model and the strategy, you're going to be reliant on external capital for a certain period of time. That could be a few quarters or that could be many years. In a lot of consumer internet businesses, you see that sometimes up to 5, 7, 8 years. And now we've seen in India, even some of these publicly listed internet companies are loss making. So they're still reliant on external capital. So how much money the category and the business model requires, having a grip on that as a founder or as a group of founders is very important, and being able to articulate and demonstrate that to the investors. That's the first part. The second part really comes in terms of the execution plan and how well they are able to execute vis-a-vis the plan. Now, obviously, things are not always going to go according to plan, but just being able to have a pulse on the market and being able to articulate what's working, what's not, and where that capital requirement is increasing or decreasing, and constantly communicating that with the investors in your company, with your board, and bringing all stakeholders aligned, I think is an important one. And so as investors, we also want to see how the founding team can manage that relationship, how they can manage that communication, and how tightly they can execute to the plan that they articulated when they got the investors or the capital in. I think the industry, especially in the last few years, has become democratized, has become meritocratic, in the sense that good founders, irrespective of age or stage of their career, have the ability to negotiate with investors, and all of it just comes down to how good a job they're doing. So I do think that some of that playing field, in this part of the world was skewed towards the investor side, in the last maybe 8 to 10 years, and now it's being skewed onto the founder side. You have investors going after the highest quality, the caliber of founders to get into those companies and to be part of those growth journeys. So you're seeing that more and more. I think the leverage is there. It always comes down to the quality of the team and the quality of work that they've done in terms of execution. So I do think that it's becoming more of a partnership where you see the investors come in with capital, of course, and add more and more value to the company. But it's the founders who are building the business. Those are the ones that come up with the ideas. Those are the ones that are executing day to day and delivering that value to the customers. So I think the leverage is definitely coming more and more.